MAGA is getting super weird about James Talarico. Just take a look at this bizarre AI post from Representative Mike Lee saying that James Talarico will put you first on the altar to Moloch, which is a biblical deity affiliated with child sacrifice. So, yeah, I don't know what Mike Lee is smoking, and then he's got this gif right here. Yeah, I don't know. And he's not the only one, right? MAGA is clearly intimidated by Talarico because I don't have any other explanation otherwise, right? They're just being so weird. They almost have Talarico derangement syndrome. We can call it TDS. That's not taken, right? Like, just take a look at this clip from Jesse Waters on Fox News saying some batshit bizarre stuff about Talarico, including wondering if he wears women's underwear.
I have questions that I'd like local reporters to ask Low T Talarico. Does James Talarico even own a gun? Is James Talarico a Cowboys fan? A Houston Texans fan? Does he even know the Spurs are playing tonight? Does Talarico own a truck? Does he believe in premarital sex?
Jesse.
What, you wrote that down?
We're running out of time.
Does Talarico wear women's underwear? These are the things local reporters should be pressing him on.
Actually just deranged behavior, right? Even his co-hosts are like dogging on him for being such a perverted little freak. They're like, what the fuck did you just say? Did you write that down? What is wrong with you? It all feels so forced, so unnecessary. The low T trans panic, you know, it's such a classic, right? It's always Republicans pointing at a trans person while they gut social safety nets and make your life so much worse, right? But if you thought that was all that Jesse Waters had to say about Talarico, you would be dead wrong. Here he is again, prying into Talarico's personal romantic life. Yeah, it's as weird as it sounds.
He's also 37 and not married. Let's get into this. He says just recently that he has a girlfriend and they've been together for 4 years. And he called her his best friend. And she was his rock. And he's not revealing her identity because he wants to respect her privacy and keep her safe during the campaign.
Does she live in Canada?
Hi, just wanted to jump in here real quick to remind everyone that Jesse Waters cheated on his wife, whom he had 2 twin daughters with a 25-year-old staffer who he met on the 5, who he first hit on by letting air out of her tires, so he had to give her a ride home because she was physically unable to do so. Yes, that is a real story. Yes, he admitted it live on air.
When I was trying to get Emma to date me, first thing I did, I let the air out of her tires. She couldn't go anywhere. She needed a lift. I said, hey, you need a lift? She copped right in the car.
Does she know this story?
No, she doesn't know this story.
So something I would say to Jesse would just be to pipe the fuck down when it comes to talking about other people's interpersonal romantic relationships. But with that said, let's roll the clip and continue.
Basically what I'm saying is, does she exist? We're going to find out, because if he wins, are they going to have a coming out party? Or is she still going to stay the secret girlfriend? And is this totally not fake girlfriend also a vegan? This race, this is a great race to cover.
He is such a bizarre piece of shit, right? The hyper fixation on James Talarico's life and him being a vegan or trans or whatever. It's just, it is such a strange hill to die on. Like, I get it, right? It's Texas. People love their meat and barbecue, and the Republicans are trying to angle something here, but it's just so weak. It comes across so weak and weird when Talarico, you look to what he's saying, and he's actually delivering policy and ideas and a hopeful tomorrow and solutions. And his opposition is just screaming about women's underwear and woke and soy and veganism. And speaking of woke and soy and veganism, here is ugly fuck Stephen Miller, who is entering bizarro world as well, going after Talarico.
When Talarico goes in for a blood test, when he gets a physical, blood doesn't come out. Instead, soy milk comes out. This man has less testosterone than Jasmine Crockett. It is a mind-boggling choice. They would choose a person to run for that office who looks like he doesn't belong in the Senate, but in a cabaret show.
Do we pull up the ratio? Yeah, let's pull up the ratio. Ah, there it is. Oh yeah, much better. Much better. Stephen Miller wouldn't know masculinity if it hit him in this bald, ugly face, right? Just a whiny, ugly fascist with no one to love, which is practically the entire Trump cabinet at this point. But if you thought that this Talarico derangement syndrome ended here, ooh, no. See, we're still not done. We've got more from Waters being an absolute freakazoid maniac.
Did you know that he looks prepubescent?
These are the notes you took?
Did you know that he looks like the guy that leaves an apple on the teacher's desk. That's this guy.
I just gotta say, I wouldn't be too quick to comment on James Talarico's appearance when the Republican in the race looks like this. Yeah, that's Ken Paxton, the Republican Talarico is facing for the general election, and that photo is actually taken from his mugshot. So, you know, I wouldn't be casting stones from glass houses if I were the Republicans here. Just across the board, a bunch of deranged freaks whining about Talarico being trans and woke and soy. It's all this bullshit, right? Is this the best the opposition actually has? It is just, it's so weird. Right? It goes back to what Tim Walz was saying all the way back in 2024 when he was running with Kamala Harris. Republicans are fucking weird.
These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird as hell.
So, on one end of the spectrum, you have the perverted freaks, hyper-focused on trans people and their genitals, and on the other end, you have voices like Zohran Mamdani, AOC, James Talarico, Abdul El-Sayed out in Michigan, Graham Plattner out in Maine, and more actually saying that a better future is possible, here's how we do it, and here's how we work together to get there.
We are taught to bargain down what is possible for our lives. We've been taught to lower our expectations for things that a generation ago were afforded to every American. It didn't feel like the fantasy that it sometimes feels today, 30, 40 years ago, to be able to have a job, one job, support your family, go on that vacation, and put some money in your pocket.
But even all of that said, right, even with this hopeful messaging that actually really works on, people and gets them energized, of course, MAGA is so much more concerned with winning the culture war, right, than actually benefiting themselves or their neighbors or their friends or family or whatever it may be, right? That's why the Democratic base needs to, move away from this centrism argument and trying to work with Republicans because they will never want to work with us, right? Democrats have to show up and show out because the base is getting more and more left-leaning, right? They're getting more and more left-wing every single year, and left-wing policy actually means something. It will actually deliver, unlike this centrist corporate slop that we've had for the past 60 years with the two parties doing nothing but benefiting themselves, their corporate donors and lobbyists, right? That's it. That's all we've had for so long. And finally, there's this branch of the Democratic Party that is actually saying no to that and actually moving away from it. And they are damn popular. And Talarico is one of those voices, and he may actually have a really good shot at turning Texas blue by using this messaging, especially when his opposition is full of trans panic maniacs who are more focused on the underwear that he's wearing. It doesn't make any sense. But don't just take it from me. Take it from Mr. Testosterone himself, Joe Rogan.
I do think earnestness and hope and optimism are going to make a comeback.
Well, that's why people like you, I'd like to see more of in politics. You need to run for president.
Yeah.
We need someone who's actually a good person.
So, like the guy or hate him, Joe Rogan seems to be on board with James Talarico too, because the guy recognizes when a swing is coming in the opposite direction, and the left-wing momentum is there, right? And it needs to keep pushing on. This is a guy who liked Bernie all the way back in 2016, even though he's, he is what he is now. Joe Rogan has had some left-wing stints among him, even though now he's more of a, cave-dwelling troglodyte, but that's beyond the point. I think that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I really appreciate it for sticking around. If you like what you saw in this video, be sure to leave a like down below, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to US Democratic Socialists. It really helps us out a lot. And yeah, have a great weekend. That's going to do it for me. I'm Iago Lashua. Goodbye.